the basics of Excel from start to finish. So the first thing you have to know is that the letters are the columns and the numbers are the rows. And then each of these boxes is called a cell, and each of them corresponds to a column in a row. So this one would be A1, this one would be B1, and this one over here would be B3. So these have words, these are going to be the titles, and these have numbers. We're going to start by learning how to format the cells. So these are titles and we want them to be better formatted. So something we can do is click on one of the cells to select it, and then hold Shift and click on another cell to select all those cells. Then we can go to Home, and you can click on Center to center the text, Bold to make the text bold, and Wrap. This will make it so the text will wrap and look nicely in the cell. The next thing we want to do is add borders to each of our cells. So we can do a selection on this cell, Shift, click, and we can add all borders to this table so that we get a nice looking table. The next thing you can do in Excel is do math on the cells. The first thing that you're going to want to know is that you can reference a cell. So this cell is B2, and if we type B2 in this cell, or equals B2, equals means that you're starting a function, so equals B2, we'll get 40 because that's what we have here at this cell. Now, another thing we can do is start writing math in here. So let's say we wanted to multiply the hours worked by the hourly rate. Then we could do B2 times hourly rate, C2, and we would get 800. And then let's say we wanted to add the bonus. You can make the math function even longer and do plus D2, and we get 950. So this is how you reference cells in a function to do a math operation. Let's go back to our previous thing. You can do Control Z or Command Z to undo your action. And the next thing you're going to want to know is this quick shortcut. So if you go down to this square at the bottom right, you can hold it down, drag it, and this will copy the same formula for all these cells. So now we have the total pay for each of these workers. Now these are just regular numbers, so we might want to format them as currencies because we're talking about money. So you can go up here to normal and switch them to currency. These will now be numbers. You'll see here that we see hashtags, but that's because this number doesn't fit. So we can go up here to the column, hold down, and make it wider so that the number fits. So now that our table is complete, let's talk about relative cell referencing versus absolute cell referencing. Now the difference is with relative cell referencing, which is what we have here, this is the normal way to do it. This means that if we drag it down, we'll see that this becomes B2, C2, D2, but then it becomes B2, C3, D3, and so on, B5, C5, D5. But let's say instead we used absolute cell referencing, which is slightly different. If we do equals and then $B, $2 times $C, $2 times plus $D, $2. This is going to do the same thing. It's going to multiply all these two values and add this one. But then if we drag it down, the value is actually not going to change. It's going to stay as B, and it's going to stay as 2 for all of these. The reason we have two $signs is because the first $sign says to make the B reference absolute, and the second one says to make the num reference absolute. So now that we made this basic spreadsheet, let's talk about basic functions in Excel. So we already learned that you can do math. Let's make some quick numbers here. We can make 1, 2, and then we can drag down to allow Excel to fill that up for us. Now we have some sample data. We can do basic math like equals E2 times E5. This will multiply 2 times 5, and we get 10. The next thing you want to know is absolute. So if we make another entry, which is going to be, let's say, a negative number like -10, if we do equals abs, which will create a function, and it'll run abs. Basically what this will do is it'll turn the number positive. So if we do equals abs E14, we'll get 10 because the positive of negative 10 is 10. Next, you're going to want to know sum. So if we do equals sum, and then we can give a range. So there's two ways to do this. You can either select a cell and then hold shift and click on another cell to select those cells, and we'll get E1 through E8. Or you could type this manually as E1, E8, and this will give you the sum. If you add all these numbers, you get 36. Next, you're going to want to know max. So E1 through E10, for example, the max is going to be 10. That's the biggest number we have. Min, same thing, E1, E10, but this time we'll get 1. Median will give you the middle value. So let's say the median of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be 3, because this is the number in the middle. Not the average number, but the number in the middle of the ordered set. So if we do median, E1, E5, we get 3. That's the number in the middle. Average will just give you the mean or the average of all the numbers. So if we do, say, E1 all the way to the bottom, we get this crazy number. STDV.S, this is basically standard deviation, or how much the typical number is away from the mean. So there's actually two ways to do this. Standard deviation.P, which is for a population. Usually you won't be using this. You'll probably be using standard deviation.S, which is for a sample. So if we do standard deviation.sample for E1 through E12, for example, the typical standard deviation is 3.6. The final function you're going to want to know for Excel is if. So if we do an if statement, this is basically checking something. So let's say we want to know, is the value at E4 more than 3? So we can do if E4 is greater than 3, and then we'll tell the function what to set the cell's value to. So if E4 is greater than 3, we'll put greater. Otherwise, you're going to separate by commas and type the other output you want. So I'm going to put less or equal, because see how we're using a greater than symbol? If it's equal, it's going to do false. So we want less or equal. And here we see that the value at E4 is greater than 3, so we get greater. Now that we know the most important functions in Excel, let's talk about XLOOKUP, which is a more advanced function. But this one's actually pretty easy. So let's say we want to find a corresponding value for something like in a table of data. So let's say here we enter an ID, and we want the ID to be 103. So we look at product ID 103, that's oranges. Now, let's say we want to find the name for a corresponding product ID. We can use XLOOKUP for this. Equals XLOOKUP, same as any other function. And we're going to first tell the function what we're trying to look for. So we're trying to find it based on the product ID. And we're setting our product ID in C6. So let's put C6 for our first argument. Then Excel is going to tell you need the lookup array, which is basically, where should I look for this value? So where am I going to find 103? You're going to find it somewhere here in the product IDs column. So I'm going to put A2 through A5 for the lookup array. And then the return array. This is basically saying, once I find it in here, what corresponding value should I give you back? So we wanted to find the product name of the product. So I'm going to say B2 through B5. And basically, this is going to find the product ID and give us the corresponding name. And I bet you this is going to say orange. Okay, now that we know how to look for values in a table, let's talk about making simple data analysis. So first, based off the math we already know, let's fill in the profit table. For this, we're going to want to do sales minus expenses, which is going to give us our profit. That's what profit is. So we'll do B2 minus C2, boom. And we'll drag this down to copy it over. We can also do a sum function for our total expenses, and we can similarly, let me undo that, drag this over here, which is going to give us the sum of our profits. Now let's say we want to do some data analysis with graphs. We can select our data that we want to analyze, such as sales and expenses, and then go to Insert, and let's start with a scatter plot. I'm going to start with a scatter plot like this. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to give this chart a title. So if you double click on chart title, you can start changing this text. I'm going to delete this current title, and I'm going to write sales versus expenses in dollars. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is add axis labels. Let's click the plus up here, axis titles, and same as the title, you can go and change these. So for this one, I'm going to put sales, and for this one, I'm going to put expenses. Now that our chart is labeled, I want to add a trend line. So let's go to plus, trend line, and we have this trend line here. But I want to show some more features of the trend line, so I'm going to go to this chart symbol over here and click on display equation on chart and display r squared value on chart. This is going to give us the equation, just like you learn in math, of the slope, the y-intercept, and the r squared value. So that's how to make a scatter plot in Excel. Now let's try something different and make a histogram. So we'll insert. For a histogram, we'll only select one column, like this, and we'll go Insert Statistics Chart and Histogram. I'm going to make this slightly smaller, and I'm going to call this title Frequency of Sales Values in dollars. Same as the other graph, I'm going to add axis titles. So this title is going to be sales, and this title is going to be frequency. The most important thing you're going to want to know is that for histograms, you can go into these values, go to this, go to axis options, and number of bins. And this will allow you to change how many bins are in your histogram. So if your exam tells you to put 10 bins, that's the value you're going to enter. And this is going to allow you to make a more accurate histogram. Now that we've learned some basic data analysis, I'm going to challenge you to a few questions. So see if you can complete these tasks using the sheets I've outlined before and put your answers in the comments. I'm going to reply with the answer keys. And if you need any help, you can always let me know in the comments, or you can join the Discord server to ask me any questions.